drink? Did you go to the bathroom?
Oh my God, it's happening! It's coming! I think I'm dying! Feel scared and excited!
Blood alone moves the wheels of history!
Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to the channel. I'm really glad that you are here to join me for this evening. I got a lot of fun stuff to talk about, and if you're watching this sometime in the future, welcome, and I'm glad you're still watching this. As you can see next to me, I have the prettiest co-host in the world, Mrs. Owen, who I finally talked into actually being on camera, not just a disembodied voice. And I have exciting news. We're going to be on camera together more, but I'll talk about that in a bit. Hey Nop, how's it going? Glad to have you here. Darkbox, hello. King, Chris, good to see you guys. So gosh, I was gone for 2 weeks because we took a vacation and I needed a sabbatical from YouTube, and I also needed to kind of rethink what we were doing. I want to talk to you guys about that a little bit. Some news, some games that I'm playing, what we got going on. But hey, Jessica, Lolita, how's it going? She said earlier to set comments to all, but in StreamYard, I don't even know. I don't know how to do it. So I was going on vacation for a couple of weeks, and the first week we went to Florida, which was fantastic. Went down there to see my mom, and the coolest thing happened. We saw sea turtles. Both my parents, or my mom, my stepdad, they are retired. And my stepdad, when he retired, he got super into helping out with turtles. They live just east of Pensacola Beach in this small town called Navarre. And there's a national seashore there. It's all protected land and stuff. And I guess they have an issue with turtles nesting there. Not a ton of them nest. So they need retirees to walk the beaches, check the turtle nests. They have a turtle center that he volunteers at. There's an aquarium what's to the east? What is that town? Destin? No, that's not. Destin's too far away. Whatever it is, about a half an hour east of Pensacola, there is what's that? No, that was the other way. That was west. Where's the Gulfarium? Whatever it is. I don't know. I don't know these towns. I'm just a tourist. I don't know what. Anyway, he works at the aquarium down there, and we get to see really cool behind the scenes turtle stuff because he's really involved in it, and it is nesting season right now. So we get down there, and he's like, fishermen will catch the turtles and they rehab them at the Gulfarium. They check them out and then they release them in the ocean. So one night we're eating dinner and he's like, we're going to release some sea turtles into the ocean if you guys want to check it out. And I'm like, obviously, yes, I'm dying to see that. Hey, Jeremy. Great. Yeah, the facial hair is gone. Unfortunately, I am back to work and I have to shave for my job. So I'm baby faced again. It was real sad. So we go and we see these sea turtles get released. One was a Kemp's Ridley and the other was a loggerhead. And these things are massive. And I want so badly to show you video of it. But about an hour ago, I panicked that we weren't going to have a live stream because I tried to get them off my phone to my computer, which is old and decrepit. And I didn't, it froze up and the videos didn't get on. And then I tried to restart the computer and it didn't want to restart. I was terrified that I was just done. This is my whole editing machine and everything. So I want to show you these things, but they're enormous. It takes 2 grown adults to lift these things up, carry them through the water. I think the ones that we saw get released were like 70, 80 pounds. He said they can get up to 130 pounds. They're massive. And of course, we live in Illinois, so we have snapping turtles and box turtles, which, are this big. So these things are enormous. So that was really cool. We hung out at the beach. We got to see some turtles get released into the wild. And then that night, he was like, well, it is toward the end of nesting season, and I know of a turtle nest, and it should be hatching any day. And he goes out at 4 o'clock in the morning, and they check these nests. They check them for activity, and he's like, this morning, it looked like a couple of little baby turtles got out of the nest. We saw some tracks, but we didn't see enough. It looks like the whole nest is not there. So he's like, I'll take you guys there tonight. We'll check out a turtle nest. And what they do is they lay towels on the ground. You lay down, you put your ear to the sand, and you can hear the turtles breaking out of their eggs, and you can hear them digging like up to the surface. He said it'll take them between 3 and 7 days to get up to the surface. So you can hear them crunching the shells. You can hear them digging. It was the coolest thing. The next day, he says, okay, that nest should have hatched. We didn't see any activity. And now we're going to do a survey. So we're going to dig this nest up. Normally it's illegal, but he's all licensed. He's good to go. So he said, you guys join me 6:30 in the freaking morning, but it was worth it. And he starts digging this turtle nest up because they want to see how many shells are still whole, how many were never fertilized, how many are open. There were unfortunately some dead turtles in there. And then the coolest thing happened. A live baby turtle was still in there, and I didn't get to hold it, but I mean, it was about as big as my palm. This thing was tiny. It was the coolest. And it was cool because he had already unfortunately pulled just like 2 or 3 dead ones out, and a bunch of unfertilized eggs, and then a bunch of shells that were either eaten by ghost crabs or they had already made it their way out. And so we were kind of getting a little bummed. And then he pulls this thing out. It was such a hallmark moment, and we were going to let it go into the beach, and I got some video of it, but the waves were all rough, so we let it go that night. But it was really cool. We've gotten to see some really neat turtle stuff, which I never thought was a sentence that I would utter, but it really is cool stuff. So anyway, that's where I've been, and it's really good to see you guys in. I'm gonna go with Ferruccio. I feel like that was good. That was good enough. Good to see Nikki. Good to see you, Spencer. Justice. Glad you guys are here. So yeah, that's where I was at, down in Florida, hanging out, having a lot of fun. And then on the way down, I got to see we passed a Bucky's, which I thought were only in West. I thought that was all Texas. I didn't realize that they were moving that empire to the east. Apparently there's like 2 or 3 in Alabama, I guess, and there's 1 in North Carolina or whatever. If you've never been to a Bucky's, if you really want to boil it down, it's a gas station. Okay, that is what it is. But it's a gas station with, I think there were 60 pumps, and it's about the size of your average Walmart supercenter. It is a destination. There were smokers outside that you could buy, fire pits outside that you could buy, deer blinds there, there was a lot of rustic furniture inside, an entire clothing area. They make their own snacks. There's a dude cutting up brisket in the middle, and he's shouting about the brisket. It's a whole thing, and I've always wanted to see one. And every time you mention Bucky's, people always tell you the weirdest thing. They'll tell you the bathrooms are the greatest. Oh. That is the weirdest thing, and people will make mention of how great the bathrooms are. And I thought, well, that's a weird thing to compliment, until I went. And if you've ever been to a regular truck stop, okay, the bathrooms are great. These are the best bathrooms that you can find on the road. They really are incredible. So yes, it is more redneck than Walmart. It's fantastic, but they do have, we still have them, right? They have they sell they have their homemade snack called the Beaver Nuggets, and it's like a corn puff, but with a caramel coating. It's crunchy, it's soft in the middle, it's sweet, it's salty. It's fantastic. J.R. Carroll, glad to see you in chat, sir. Miller, welcome. So it's on 65 in the middle of Alabama, and next time we drive down to Florida, it's like dead halfway, so it's a great stopping point for us. And I got a chicken sandwich, we got some pulled pork sandwiches. Like, the food there is really good. It's I don't know, it's a weird thing to be excited about, but I finally got to see a Bucky's, and I got a sticker, and I got a picture with Bucky himself. He was walking around the place. I was very excited. Yeah, Vay's on a road trip. You get it. Like, I don't stop unless it's a Pilot or a Love's or Flying J or now a Bucky's. I don't trust random stuff. And not to insult the great state of Alabama, but I've tried to pull off in between some of those things. We found some weird looking gas stations in between. I only trust the big ones. That's me. All right. Trust Alabama. Yeah. Well, I have gotten stuck 3 times in Alabama. In Pelham, Alabama. Pelham is my Bermuda Triangle. We got held there on a layover one time. We wrecked a car there one time. There was a third time. I don't remember what happened, but I curse the city of Pelham, Alabama. I don't know why it has something out for me, but it absolutely does. Oh, Jeremiah's here. Glad to see you. Tabitha, glad to see you. So far, I am still, well, I skipped anime. My weeb journey took me straight to manga. Where are our books? Where are those books that we bought? Oh, okay. Well, I bought an issue of My Hero Academia. I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but I'm excited about it. We were at Barnes and Noble the other day, and somebody was picking up a bunch of V.E. Schwab fantasy books, and I thought, you know what? While I'm here, I'm going to see what the manga section looks like, and it's bigger than any of the other sections. It's massive. The selection it was overwhelming, and I didn't know what to pick. And I was like, well, I've heard of this one before, so I'm going to try this one. And it's printed backward, and that's weird too, but I'm excited. Miller wants to know if I watched the rest. I haven't watched the rest of Ahsoka. I haven't watched the rest of Wheel of Time. I have hit episode 4 on both of those. I don't want to watch anymore. I'm going to review Wheel of Time, but I don't want to watch any more of it. Ahsoka is another one that, like, I want to see it, but I just haven't made time for it. Of the 3 shows that I was watching, One Piece got me so excited that, I was like, what do I want to review? Well, what do I want to watch the most? I want to watch One Piece. So we kept watching that to finish that out. And then my kids wanted to watch Avatar. So I started watching that first season with them. What are we, halfway through that one? We just saw, not even halfway. We saw Katara rescue the Earthbenders off the ship. That's like a quarter of the way through. Yeah. I got to catch up on that one. I am going to do Loki 2. I probably.
I don't think that can handle it.
What's that?
Can't wait for you on Loki 2.
Oh no, she's gonna watch that without me. She, my oldest daughter, I think has a little crush on Tom Hiddleston, and I can't blame her. I can't blame her for that.
In the house for sure.
Yeah. She is. Well, and that's what I feel like I should put those in the reviews, because whenever she's not into like a Marvel thing, like that's how you know it's bad, because she's a fan.
And she likes to like things. She doesn't like to criticize things.
No, she doesn't. My thoughts on Legend of Kora. I don't have thoughts on Legend of Kora, but I could bring my 13 and 15-year-old in here if you want to hear anger. Just unbridled rage at the Legend of Kora. I hear about that a lot. I've never seen it, but I hear about it. Frank's on manga says way more than American comics. I want to do research into that, because I was looking at that, like how are comic sales, especially with the MCU being big and the DCEU trying to be big. I was like, is that giving a boost to comics? But all the information I could find was just about like comics and graphic novels, which my understanding is that includes manga. So like those numbers are going up, but I get the impression that it's because we're importing a ton of manga. Like the American comics industry is not doing well. Manga is doing amazing.
They want you to talk about how you would adapt to Wheel of Time. People want to get you going, I think.
Oh, I'm gonna go on Wheel of Time. I have a schedule. Okay, I have a schedule to keep to. I have a stream that I need to. Oh, that's too much. There we go. Okay. I saw Sea Turtles. I'm excited about that. I have a schedule, and Wheel of Time is somewhere. Where is it? There it is. It's there. Okay, so I'm gonna be angry about that. I'm gonna make another video about that, but I have to finish the dang show first. And like every time we go and we're like, okay, let's watch episode 5. Let's get going. It's 69 minutes long, giggity, and we always just end up watching. We always end up watching Psych or Brooklyn Nine-Nine or one of our comfort shows. Yeah, we're watching Parks and Rec right now, and every time I'm like, let's just get Wheel of Time done. I don't want to. No, Lit wants to know if we watched the anime. I haven't watched the anime. I promised the kids I would start with Avatar, so I have to get that going. Bosudo. Yeah, I do. I have very smart kids. Somebody said they have. William Jones said he's got an idea for a video. There it is. How would I adapt Wheel of Time? The number one thing I would do is, I think I would just. Well, first of all, I wouldn't add stuff. That's the number one thing. No. I have a schedule. By God.
This is a hot button.
So I was talking to, you know what? Let's switch things. I want to brag. I'm so excited. So I do the pro YouTube move. And I have a super, super pro YouTube move. I am actually, the channel is starting to pay for its own thumbnails. My thumbnail game is trash, and I know this. I am well aware my thumbnails freaking suck. I don't know how to do it. I'm just winging it every time. And I have just now, next video that I'm going to do is going to have a professionally done thumbnail. I've already run through them with the guy. They look great. And what set me off on that? I got excited about it.
Oh, because you were talking about the Wheel of Time stuff.
Was that? Yeah. Well, then he did a Wheel of Time one. Anyway, so really interesting thing. The way that I got this guy to do the thumbnails, and those of you that do like creative jobs, you want to listen to this because this was really cool. He emails me on the channel email that's listed on the thing, and he just emails me and says, "Hey, look, I love your videos. I think they're great, and I watched this one, the Spider-Punk video, which didn't do very well." He didn't say that. I know that. And he was like, "I love that video. I thought it was a really cool message. It looks like it didn't get a lot of views. And I made you a thumbnail. I'm a graphic designer. I made you a thumbnail. Here you go. It's yours." He didn't even try to sell me like on his services, whatever. He was like, "I just think your channel is good. And I want that video to get more views. And I made you a thumbnail because I think it would get it more views." He didn't say this, but he very nicely implied that your thumbnails are not getting you a lot of traffic. And I know that. If you look back at my videos, that was right about the time that we started. We knew it. My wife was like, "We got to do something. Like we got to figure something out because," oh, come on. Can I get to my own? There we go. She was like, "We got to do something because we're not getting a lot of traffic. I feel like the videos are good. We get good feedback. Retention is great on them. People watch a lot of videos, but people don't click on them." And we kind of agreed. It's because my thumbnails are not great. So we started doing this purple theme. We were testing this out. And that was about the time that he emailed me. And he just gave me a thumbnail. And he was super nice. And that was it. That's all he wanted. And I emailed him back and I was like, "Dude, do you do freelance? I like this thumbnail." He gave me this one right here. Oh, don't autoplay this one. The real message. He was like, "I feel like it encompasses what you were trying to say in the video." And so I like it. And it was totally free. And I was like, "Dude, I love this thumbnail. And do you freelance?" And then we started emailing back and forth, and we started working on some mock-ups and stuff. And that is now how he is my official designer. So those of you that are creative, I hope that tells you something informative, because it all just kind of fell into place really, really well. And I'm super excited. Oh, his name is Ryan. I'm going to type it here. His name is Ryan the Designer. And he has a website. He does great work, and I'm super excited for you guys to see it. The next 7 videos are going to have his thumbnail designs. We were on a call yesterday. We did a little video chat. He showed me the designs. We made a couple of tweaks. And so I'm really excited too, because I have purchased them and now I have to make those videos. I have a problem where I get about half of a video scripted and then I think of a different idea and then I start scripting or outlining that idea.
85%.
So
Everything you do.
Yeah, that's very true. So now I have already paid him for these thumbnails. So I kind of need to make these videos because the thumbnails are done. It's a nice accountability thing. So yeah, I'm really excited about it. Especially, well, I'm gonna go through some of these videos that I have, these 7 videos that I have made, and I'm really excited about them, and I'm excited about the stuff that he has come up with. He's very, very, very talented. I haven't even heard of it. Pendragon series. I mean, it already sounds like fantasy, which sounds cool. Dark Box wants to review bad or awful Christian movies. We could roast that.
Oh, you could totally.
I could roast Fireproof, no problem.
100%.
Oh man, if you guys have never seen Christian, I shouldn't say this because I should be evangelical, but I mean they have a great message. Like Kirk Cameron makes movies that are very biblical. It's a great message, but they're not good films.
I mean, another example of
it's not
over material.
Yeah, I mean they go for the biblical message, which that's great. That's something I agree with, but I'm also watching it bored to tears. I mean, and the joke set up like Fireproof, when he was he was eating yogurt and then his wife just handed him baby food and you're like, oh, he's gonna eat the baby food. And then he does. And the old people that we were watching it in church with were like, oh, it wasn't funny. It wasn't a good. Oh yeah, Nikki said she watched Gods. I haven't watched Gods Not Dead.
We haven't seen that one.
Or Gods Not Dead too. Didn't she?
Yeah.
She didn't like it. Yeah, I am. You want to see? Yeah, Fire. I would roast Fireproof. I would roast. What was the cop one?
I don't know.
The other Kirk one, cop one. I never did see. I never did see War Room. I'd have to catch up on them.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah. So I hired a thumbnail artist. I'm super excited about it, and yeah. Hopefully, if you guys are creatives, reach out to people. Oh, that reminds me. I am going to be reviewing some guy's book. Courageous. That's what it was. Jeremy's got it.
Yeah.
A guy emailed, same thing. Guy emailed me and he was like, hey, I'm an author and I'm in the middle of writing a book because I haven't finished yet. And he said, I'm emailing a bunch of video creators. Can I send you like the first chapter of my book or something? So I was like, absolutely. So I think he sent it to me just the other day. I'm gonna read that. I'm gonna talk about it on stream or on video sometime. Anyway, if you folks are creative, you just gotta reach out to people. I mean, this guy just reached out and he offered me value up front without asking for anything. And then now we're business partners. And he also does editing and stuff too. So if you check his website out, he offers a lot of services. And right now we're just doing thumbnails because I like to edit. It's not even that I need an editor to save me time, but I just enjoy it. So next on the agenda, I want to talk to you guys. I'm really excited about the content that I have for the next month or two, because for the most part, it's not review stuff. I got a little bogged down over the last couple of months. A lot of great things came out, or interesting things came out. Starting in June. June was a very packed month. A lot of movies came out. I was still reviewing them in July. And then August shows up and we had a ton of shows start coming out. And reviews and watching shows was just, it was a full-time job, and I'm still not caught up, like I said, on Ahsoka and Wheel of Time. And now that TV is starting to die down a little bit, I am very, very excited to start moving forward with some of these backlog ideas that I had been working on that I just didn't have time for. And the first one is Hollywood's postmodern problem. And this one's going to be, I'm excited because this is going to be, I wouldn't call this a video essay, but this is going to be my first long scripted video. It's going to be, I think right now it is 6,500 words, 7,000 words, something to that effect. 7,400 words at the moment. So that's going to be about a 40-minute video, and I'm really excited to see how that takes shape and edit a longer video like that. I'm also excited to see if I can still bring the same style, the dad humor, excited style, because I'm kind of talking about philosophy and film in this video, and I don't want it to be a philosophy lecture because that would be that would be boring. So I'm super excited about this video. It's going to be about kind of explaining postmodernism and how it applies sort of to philosophy, sort of to film, and how the growth of that mindset, the growth of that philosophy over the last 60 years in America, especially with younger writers, people coming out of university, going to school for writing, they're going to be awash in postmodernist thought, and you can really see how it lines up with a lot of the issues that we see in movies and TV shows right now, like the constant need for subversion, the constant need for meta humor. If you know anything about postmodern thought, it's all about rebelling against modernist thought, and really postmodernists don't, to a really great extent, don't really put forth a lot of like new ideas or like what you should do. It's the whole movement is kind of a critique of what came before it, which is not inherently bad, but it kind of lines up with what we're seeing in movies and TV right now. Everything has to be a subversion. Everything has to be a wink at the camera. We also see postmodernists kind of rejecting the idea of like meta narratives. There really is no objective truth. And what are we seeing now in movies and TV? We don't see villains. We're seeing villainless movies, or we're seeing the sympathetic villain who gets a quick explanation that's supposed to absolve them of their villainy because morality isn't real. There is no good guys and bad guys, and they think that's super duper clever. And I've got some stuff in there about I'm excited about. There's a section in there about simulacra, how a lot of our writers they're not right. They don't live. I mean, it's a problem that a lot of us face. Like, we're online a lot. We watch a lot of shows and stuff. Well, as Baudrillard predicted, we're living in a life where everything is already kind of a representation. Everything's already kind of a simulation, as he called it. And so you have writers that grew up and their experience of reality is all the shows and movies they watched. And so whereas like 150 years ago, your authors, they wrote based on their lived experience. Our writers of this generation, their lived experience is the TV and movies they watched, the writers that they saw. And so they're basing their concept of things on other people's concept of things. And we're getting more and more removed from reality. And that's why we're seeing these movies and TV shows that don't really make you feel anything, because they don't actually reflect real life. They reflect the life of television. They reflect people that grew up on Friends. I think that was an example I used. So anyway, I'm super excited about that one. Ryan's got me a great thumbnail on that one that says this is not a thumbnail, which is a nice wink at postmodern stuff. So I'm almost done with that one. I just need to go through and kind of humor it up a little bit. Like the text is done, but it needs the clips. It needs my style added to it. And that's something that I'm focusing on going forward. But this next one I cannot wait to put out. And that is another puns and idioms video. And the last one I did was explaining Little Mermaid Second Weekend using only puns. And this one is going to be why Zootopia succeeded and Elemental failed, explained with puns and idioms. And I'm so excited. And because I love writing under constraints. And this time around, all the puns and idioms will either be animal flavored when talking about Zootopia, or they will be elemental puns and idioms when talking about Elemental. And I can't wait. I absolutely can't wait. And I think last time I had one pun every 6 seconds, and I can do better than that. I mean, those are rookie numbers. We can beat those numbers. That's right. Nikki likes my Ravenclaw mug. This is my second one. We went to Universal years ago, and I bought one of these, and I was having a shower coffee, and I left it in the shower, and then my kids used it, and they broke it, and I was distraught. And then we went down there a couple of years ago, and I was on a mission. I was like, I need this mug again. This is very important that I have it. And it took a while because some of them are ugly. Like, they have the castle mugs. I didn't like those. And then I think there was just like the basic blue. I don't know. This is my favorite one. I probably paid too much for it, but I don't care. This is my favorite mug.
You paid too much for it twice. I loved it that much.
I also paid too much for a wand with a glass bead on the end.
I think the dishwasher was our problem too, Emma. That's what happened.
No, this one was the shower for sure.
Oh, really?
Well, I found the shards in the shower. Oh, yeah, it was a little chipped up. Yeah. I'm very, very excited about the puns one. Oh yeah, I'm gonna break the record. No problem. Let's see. People talking about Thrawn and stuff. Yeah, I haven't watched. I have not watched the Ahsoka stuff. I watched half of Angry Joe talking about it today, and it sounds like it's okay. Yeah. It's just, sounds like it was an all right ending. I get the impression that they were wanting to set up for future stuff, and unfortunately, Ray Stevenson is dead, and that's sad because his character Balin was incredible, and I was excited to see what they were going to do with that. And I thought he was going to die by the end of the season. I thought, he's the bad guy, so I figured they'd kill him off, but apparently they're kind of setting him up, so they'll have to recast him, or I don't know what they're going to do, but it's really sad because he was amazing.
So a lot of people were saying like Zootopia is going to be so bad. Zootopia 2 is going to be so bad. You might want to get into your Disney trying to quiet the noise point. Do you think that Zootopia is going to be woke, or you think that that's going to be a part of the new quiet the noise movement?
Is it already in pre-production? Like, are they writing that one? Does anybody know if they're like already? Yeah, Disney destroys what they're touching lately. It's real bad. Yeah, and he said, Ahsoka was the most okay. I felt the same way. Like, the first 2 episodes I thought were pretty good. I was a newbie, so it was kind of getting me going. I've gone back and seen the clips, and now that on the second watch, I noticed a lot more that everything was this. is so much pausing with arms crossed, dramatic looks. It was real bad. Yeah, I don't know if Zootopia has been announced. I'm sure that they are working on it. And what was great about Zootopia, the first one, is obviously, I mean, it was a movie about racism. Like, clearly there was an allegory about racism and us getting along and all that, but it was just handled so well. And I think what makes that movie really good is that it wasn't the main focus. And I hope that's something that somebody in Disney tells them, hey guys, that can't be the main thing. It was the underlying theme in the background, and you had so much going on in the foreground. You had, Judy wanted to be a cop, and then you got the missing animals, and then Judy and the fox trying to get along, Nick trying to get along. There were so many subplots to keep everything moving, and it wasn't just about prey and predators not getting along or whatever. That was it was so well handled. So yeah, I can't wait to make that video. I can't wait to squeeze as many goofy, ridiculous jokes and puns, and oh, I'm so excited. But one of the reasons that I didn't get as much YouTube work done during vacation as I wanted is that several amazing video games have come out recently, and one of them is called Lies of P, and it is a Dark Souls game where you play as Pinocchio. And I know that sounds crazy. It sounds laughable, honestly, but it is fantastic. And I have been playing that on my computer. As a matter of fact, I really wanted to do like a stream where I was playing, and there are a couple reasons I can't play this game. First of all, I can't talk when I play a Dark Souls game. I thought I could, but I was trying to talk to my wife about something the other day, and she was like, so you're going to stream this when you cut off in the middle of your sentence? Like, you can't even finish a sentence? It takes a lot of focus, okay? And I don't want to see you guys. I don't want you to see me play Dark Souls games because I'm not the same person. It's not a good look. So that's not a good idea. The other reason I can't stream them for you is that I am using an old computer. It's an old MSI gaming laptop, but I bought it like 3 years ago. It has a GTX 1060 in it. It barely runs Lies of P. And if I don't manually turn the fans on, the computer will overheat and shut down. So I have to play it with these. I don't know if you can hear that or not, but I have to have this small jet taking off anytime I play that game. Otherwise, it will die. In a few months, I mean, the channel's not making. It's a small channel. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I'm not making a ton of money, but I did make a little bit, enough to buy a new camera, enough to buy an iPad so I can make notes on the go and stuff. But the next big purchase is going to be, a new editing computer for sure. Because this one I bought years ago, and I was so stupid. I didn't realize it's got the 2 hard drives. It's got the 250 gig SSD and then the 750 gig hard drive. And I have to move everything back and forth because 250 gigs is not enough on an actual desktop or laptop. It's balancing the 2 drives is a pain. Obviously, the graphics card is not keeping up with anything modern. I need something new.
Said they couldn't hear the
Nice. So yeah, this game is absolutely incredible. It is basically, any of you that have played Dark Souls, or you've ever played Bloodborne, or their other game, Sekiro, this is basically very much like a combination between Bloodborne and Sekiro. Let me go back a little bit. Oh, don't do this. Don't do this while I'm on stream. Where is it? Where did I get hit? Because I got to get hit somewhere in here. I recorded all of this. This was a long fight because I was there we go. Okay. So up here, you can see there's like a little bit of a shaded area. What Bloodborne did, it really wanted you to be aggressive. If you've never played Dark Souls games, the older Dark Souls games, you were like this armored warrior kind of thing, and you had a shield, and it was kind of famous for you would just block until the enemy stopped swinging, and then you would hit them. And they made this game Bloodborne, and they were like, nah, we're not going to let you do that anymore. We're not going to allow you to just hide behind a shield. We're not going to let you cast magic from a far away. Like, From Software they say, you got to get up in the action. And they had this cool mechanic where if you got hit, a little bit of your bar would remain shaded. And if you hit the enemy in a few seconds, you would get that life back. And so Lies of P is taking that exact same idea here. And they're also using this idea that Sekiro brought in of everything needs to be like a parry. You need to time the parries very, very well. And let me see if this is too loud. You've got these big giant bosses, and they telegraph these moves really well. And the one thing that it doesn't have that Sekiro had was Sekiro had a bar around the enemy's health bar that would show you that they were getting close to being stunnable. This one doesn't have it. And honestly, I'm not. There we go. So you can see the big red sparks fly out when I block it correctly. And with his, he finally gets all staggerable there. And then if you hit him, you can do a nice killer move and finish him off. It's an excellent game. What's really impressive about it is that the company that made you might think that FromSoft like snuck one out, and it's this company called NeoWiz. It's a Korean company. They've only made one other game to their credit, and then they brought this thing out and caught everybody by surprise. And it's absolutely astounding. It's an excellent game. It plays very well. Now, I am not that far in though. I'm told that I'm about a quarter away through, and I'm told that about halfway through the difficulty ramps up very, very, very high. And I haven't hit that point yet. So I'm not there, but it does some interesting things. You can see in the corner here, you have a blade and a handle. It's got this really nice system of being able to recombine weapons. So they brought some interesting ideas to the Dark Souls formula. It's not just a clone, but honestly, I kind of want to, I feel like I could make a whole video about this, sometimes people get mad at stuff because like they're like, oh, it's just like blah, 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 something else. And it's like, well, if I like that something else, like I love Dark Souls games. I can't get enough of them. So if people start making more of them, great. Make it just, I want more. I want Dark Souls 4, 5, 6. I want Elden Ring 2. I want all of this crap. So when people are like, oh, well, it's basically just Dark Souls. Well, I'm sold. Were you complaining? Because you sold me is what you did. Really, take my money. It's fabulous. I was playing on vacation, and if you have Xbox Game Pass, it's already on there. It was on there day one, so you can try it out for free. You don't have to spend money because it's a Souls game. They're difficult. It's not for everybody. People don't like them, but if you have Xbox Game Pass, you can try it for free. That's a really cool service, and they have a streaming service you can play through a browser. And I think I got the first boss down through the browser, but it had just a little bit of lag. That was frustrating. That was really hard. Trying to play a Souls game with just even a tiny bit of lag that's rough. But one thing I wanted to ask you guys is, let's see here. Chris wants to know, do I play JRPGs? Absolutely, I do. I'm going to talk in here later about CSRs that I haven't been giving enough time to because Liza P is out, Baldur's Gate 3 is out, and I was so looking forward to CSRs, and I feel like they chose a terrible time to release that game. But I do like JRPGs a lot. I have not played Final Fantasy 16 though. That came out in June. I was super busy at work, and I just didn't have time. I didn't even have time to make videos. That's why I was doing so many reviews in June, and I haven't played it. And the stuff I've heard about it, it makes me feel like I'm gonna wait for it to be on sale at the very least. But what I want to ask you guys is if you would be interested in doing this with streaming. Obviously not Souls games because I can't do that and talk at the same time. But I do like Game Pass. It's very, very nice. And where are we at? Come on up. I've got a couple here that I think would be good to play. Slime Rancher 2 it's like a first-person shooter, and you run a ranch, and they are slimes. They're little fluffy slime guys, bouncy slime guys, and it's a farming sim, but you catch these guys in a futuristic world. It's a lot of fun. It's very relaxing. This game, Solar Ash, is a lot of fun. I played just a little bit of it. It's just cool looking. It's very bright colors, very neon colors. It's very fast paced. Your character kind of skates around on the ground. This game, Tunic, looks like a lot of fun. It looks, I haven't played it yet, but it looks pretty chill. Death's Door, I think I could play. I feel like I could do that without freaking out. Dead Cells I couldn't do. No chance.
Lolita Cat said you should stream puzzle games. That's your favorite.
It is.
Do that calmly.
I could stream The Witness.
You love
Oh
them.
my goodness gracious. Spencer wants me to stream Stardew Valley. So my friend Spencer at Hefner Farms there, when he is not actually in real life farming, we're friends on PlayStation, and he's playing farming simulator. That's how much he loves farming and Stardew Valley. But I don't know. I might try it out. I might see if I might try to stream some games and see if I'm able to talk and play at the same time. I don't know. It might not work out, but let me know what you guys think on that. If you are joining me now, I would love it if you comment, even if I can't get to it. I watch these back, and YouTube logs all of this for me. So if you have something, a suggestion for something to watch, a video to make, something to add to the conversation, or if I'm asking a question, if you think I should stream games, whatever, leave it in the comment, and I'll watch it back and I'll reread these, and it populates the comments as the video plays too for me later. So it's a great, that's why I'm not taking any notes or anything, because I just rely on it. So don't fear leaving comments. I will read every one of them later. So I'm drinking Yorkshire tea. You guys know I like to do references to other YouTubers in my videos, and I was going to do a Spiffing Brit joke, and I bought a box of Yorkshire tea, and it's really freaking good. Like, he's not playing around. It's really good tea. And I bought Yorkshire Gold because I thought I better get the best. And then somebody told me Yorkshire regular red stripe is good, and that's what I have, and it is very, very good. Should do a taste test sometime. All right, so now on to some news, because some stuff happened while I was gone, and I don't have time to make whole videos about it. But the Marvel's budget was released. If you don't know, the Marvels is the next MCU video or next MCU movie coming out, starring Captain Marvel and also Ms. Marvel, Kamala Khan, and also Monica Rambeau, who was introduced in WandaVision, or she was introduced in Captain Marvel, but then she got a little more screen time in WandaVision. And I am told from comics folks that she is Photon is actually her name, and I think they're going to they'll probably call her that in this movie. But it was revealed that the Marvels has a budget right now being reported of $275 million. Let's zoom in on that. Too much. Yeah, $275 million. For reference, Endgame, both Infinity movies, I think, were like 300 or 320 or something. And those things were the culmination of years of movies leading up to it. They knew it was going to be a smash. It was going to be incredible. And I mean, they made, I think, $2 billion. It was insane. I mean, they got their money back, no problem. The fact that this movie has been reshot so many times, I think it's on its 5th release date at this point. They have had multiple reshoots. You guys have seen, if you've seen the trailers, somebody said, where'd the money go? I have no idea, because the FX do not look great. They have had to do a bunch of reshoots. There were tons of rumors that they did test screenings, and the test screenings were awful. The test audiences hated, so they had to rewrite, reshoot. So yeah, this was reported 2 weeks ago that the budget is $275 million. And if I was looking somewhere else, I think that was a number that was reported a few months ago, or this might be a few months old. So it would not shock me at all if Deadline came out, next year, and they reported that it was actually closer to like 300 million or something. And then you got to figure that's just production costs. That's not marketing. There are reports that Disney has plans for like $150 million marketing budget or whatever. You also have to remember that at one time, the Marvels was going to be the start of Phase 5. Like, that was going to be the big kickoff flagship to Phase 5. Kevin Feige said that Captain Marvel was going to be the face of the MCU. That was a direct quote from him, that like going forward, she was going to be the new Iron Man, the new Captain America, the new face, and she was going to take the MCU into the future. And the fans do not like her. They don't like Brie Larson. And so, yeah, I'm not shocked at all by this number. I think they dumped a bunch of money. You have to remember, too, that this movie's been in production for like 6-7 years. So they dumped a ton of money into it, thinking this is the wave of the next phase. This is the wave of the future. And yeah, this isn't shocking at all. And then they've had to rewrite, reshoot, redo VFX. It's not a secret anymore that they're overworking their VFX teams. I think Ant-Man 2 definitely shows that. And yeah, so they're going to have another 150 million, maybe even $200 million production on this. And you have to remember that, let's just say it's $150 million. That puts us at $425 million between production and marketing. and theaters keep half of their tickets. So they need over $800 million just to break even on this movie. And there's no chance. There's no chance it's going to say $800 million. And that's just assuming that it is $150 million for the marketing. I actually see them marketing it heavier to try to recoup some of that cost. Some people are thinking that they're just going to let it go. They're just going to, they're going to put it out and just, let it lose money. But I think they're actually going to try to push hard, and they're going to have a big, big marketing budget. We also got some more news about the Marvels that it should have had that pulled up. It's going to be an hour and 45 minutes long, which is their, I think their second. It might be their it is the shortest. I thought it was the second shortest. So yeah, it's going to be the shortest runtime of all the MCU movies. And honestly, at first I thought, well, that's going to be terrible, but it could go either way on this one. It being super short could go both ways. On the one hand, these characters, two of them, if you haven't watched the television shows, you don't know these characters. You don't know who Kamala Khan is unless you were one of the 1 million people that tuned in, less than 1 million people that tuned in to watch her show. And my wife liked it. My kids liked it. You guys like the show, right? It just, I don't know what happened to that one. I don't know if we were just in a lull. People were tired of the onslaught of Marvel stuff, but it just did not get a lot of viewers. And so a lot of people don't know who Miss Marvel is. I think a lot more people watched WandaVision, but you always have drop off as the show goes on. And Monica Rambeau wasn't really introduced until the latter half. Her story didn't really flesh out. The way she got her powers, that was the end of that season. So if you did hang on for the entire season, you don't really know how she got the powers. Her powers weren't even really well explained in the show anyway, but at least they were there. So 2 out of 3 of your heroes are tied to television shows that you have to have a Disney Plus subscription to even know anything about. And with a short runtime like this, it tells me I was afraid that it was going to be a bloated movie because they were going to have to do introductions for these characters, where they came from, how they got their powers, an example of powers, whatever, all that. So this short runtime is telling me they're kind of not going to do that. And that, I think that could hurt. But at the same time, maybe it will help the movie, because I've been complaining in my videos for quite a while that movies are way too long. They don't need to be well over 2 hours. They're bloated. They're slow spots, especially in the middle. So much cutting needs to be happening with these movies. So it's possible that this movie will be a little bit more watchable and actually better because they cut so much stuff out of it to get this slim runtime. So, I guess we're going to see. I'm obviously going to go see it. I don't actually have any hope for it. I don't think that it's going to do well. But another thing that might give it a little boost is the fact that they delayed Dune II. They pushed this off until March of next year because of the writer strike and the actor strike. They didn't have these people around to promote the movie. All the actors aren't allowed to do press junkets and all that kind of stuff. And they pushed it off because they want a good turnout for this guy. And that actually might help the Marvels. That was a stroke of luck for the Marvels, because originally the Marvels couldn't get into IMAX because Dune 2 had all of the IMAX theaters, which, obviously that's a good call on IMAX's part. I think Dune 2 is going to be a great IMAX movie. And so they're coming out at the same time. That's what got those theaters. But now that they have moved, the Marvels will be in IMAX. And, I think they're going to sell a lot of tickets for that. It's going to be a big spectacle of a movie. You obviously have a lot of VFX. You got the outer space stuff. You've got all the powers. So I think a lot of people will want to see the Marvels in IMAX, and those tickets are more expensive. And so that might boost that up a little bit. Now, Dune 2's got me a little nervous because I enjoyed the first Dune, but I was a little disappointed. Frank's excited for Dune 2. I'm excited for it also. I know people are looking forward to it. The one thing that bothered me about the first Dune movie is that I feel like it was focused on the spectacle and not enough on what was going on. And part of that, for me, I think they ended that movie too late. I think that movie would have been better served to spend all of their time getting to Arrakis. Did I pronounce it's Arrakis, right? Am I remembering that correctly? I'd be forgetting details. They get to Dune. They meet the Fremen. They don't know who to trust. They're moving in. There's all this politics. There's all this, espionage type stuff. Jessica's suspicious of everybody. They're learning the planet, all this kind of stuff. And then I think that movie should have been getting to Dune, meeting the Fremen, figuring out who's an ally, who's a traitor, and then you have the big climax of the invasion. They take over, and the movie should have ended on that, with the final shot being like, okay, Jessica and Paul have made it out. They've survived. Boom, cliffhanger for the next movie. And I think that trying to push deeper into the books, while I understand because it's a big book and they're already using 2 movies, I think that they just kind of kept going, and that shortened all that stuff in the middle. So it's just like, here's their planet. Boom, they're moving on to Dune. Boom, the invasion happens. Boom, here's man, I can't think of the character's name. Who's the bad guy's Mentat? I can't think of his David Dalmatian played him, and I was really excited because I thought, like, oh man, he's finally getting a chance to shine. He's breaking out of the MCU bubble, and then he's dead just instantly. So yeah, everything just happened super duper fast. We didn't get a lot of the nuance. We didn't get a lot of the little political games and stuff. And I was hoping for more of that. And unfortunately, we didn't get it. We got a lot of really big vista shots. We got a lot of really cool spaceships taking off and landing. We got a lot of really cool landscapes. We got cool shots of the worms. I thought that was neat. We got cool shots of the ornithopters. I know some people thought those look silly. I liked them. I liked the way they realized that on screen. I thought that was very, very cool. I was not a big fan of the space suit looking things that the Sardaukar attacked in. I thought that was weird looking, but overall the look of it was beautiful. It was a gorgeous movie. I just feel like it lacked a lot of the depth. I mean, this book is a classic for a reason. It's not just because it's a cool sci-fi book. It's because really it's a political and religious thriller and drama with sci-fi trappings to dress it up a little bit. But that core of it is why 60 years later, this book is still popular. It's still, one of the #1 sci-fi books. But anyway, that thing got pushed back. I think that is going to help. That's going to help the Marvels a lot. So another upcoming content, another video that I'm working on, very excited about this one too, is that we as an audience are stronger than the ESG. Every time we make yes, Piter, that's right, Piter DeVries. I was so excited to see him. I thought he was such a cool character, and I was hopeful that Dalmatian was gonna be kind of his breakout role, that he wasn't just gonna be the Russian guy, the Russian comic relief that he always is. He was one of the guys, if you're having trouble placing this guy, he was one of Ant-Man's company. He was the Russian guy that Ant-Man knew, that they formed the company together, right? That's Dalmatian, can't remember his last name, David. And I thought he was going to do good. And he showed up, he spoke like 3 lines, and then he died. So every time I make videos about Disney, or, we talk about the movie industry and wokeism and all that kind of stuff, people talk about, they make these things because of their ESG score. They have to do it for the ESG, which stands for, it's a type of investing, ESG investing. It stands for environmental, social, and governance, I think. Basically, big investing firms, BlackRock, Vanguard, got together and they said, these are the things that we want to invest in. We want to invest responsibly. We want to be responsible capitalists, and we want to score companies based on these metrics. How are they doing for the environment? What are they doing for society? How are they helping governance? Do they have a diverse board in both race and gender? Things of that nature. And so something that helps that score out is putting those products out that promote those things. And so when you see Disney making what people call woke stuff, or I like to call it performative diversity, people always say, well, they're doing that to raise their ESG score. And they need to do that because when a company has a high ESG score, basically they're getting an approval from these huge investing firms like BlackRock, Vanguard. These firms control trillions and trillions of dollars. And I mean, they manage my retirement account. They probably manage your 401 if you have one. They're massive, massive. And when these companies basically give the approval to these companies, they're saying we invest in them. And then other smaller investors are like, oh, cool. Okay. If BlackRock is putting their money in Disney, that feels like a big site. But if Berkshire Hathaway is investing in something, I feel pretty good about it. If freaking Warren Buffett says it's good, I'm good to go. So companies are chasing after this high ESG score, and everybody's kind of mad because it oftentimes runs counter to what their audience wants. And they need investors. We saw, especially during COVID, we saw a lot of companies, they needed the investment. They needed to sell stock to raise money. They legally, they have to keep their stock scores above a certain amount. They have fiduciary responsibilities to their stockholders. These public companies, it's kind of a double-edged sword when you go public with a company, because then sometimes they have to make stupid short-term decisions to keep the stock price up because they owe their investors their money back. They have to make a good effort to get them their money back. So they have to do this ESG thing. And something that I am finding very encouraging is that we're seeing a big reminder that you still have to have a viable product. You still have to serve the audience. And when you see Little Mermaid losing hundreds of millions of dollars because Disney was like, we're going to lazily just remake this, and look, we cast someone of a different race to get headlines and look good and raise our ESG score, and look, we made Lightyear, and we had these side characters be less. Did they kiss? They did kiss. Like they pecked each other. It was like it's tiny stuff that they can edit out to put it in China so that China doesn't ban it. Like that's the kind of stuff they're doing. It's like just good enough to raise that score, but also not to piss off the Chinese, who is a huge market for their movies. And it's all very fake. But it's really encouraging to me that right now you're seeing Disney stock is trading. It closed below 80 today, which it has not closed below 80, not even in the middle of COVID, when everything took a huge tank. Disney stock did not close below 80 at that time. It hasn't been below 80 since, I believe, 2017, I think, or no, even earlier than that, 14. I could pull the chart up, but my phone is being used to record. But the point is, it's been like a decade or more, or not more, around a decade. I'm losing my thoughts. And their stock is continually going down. And if you look at this chart, it is just down, 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 down. People have calculated they've lost over $1 billion on their movies this year. And I think it's really neat to see that the consumer has power. And I think it's a good reminder to us as an audience. A lot of times people get a little black-pilled, they get a little depressed about it, like, oh, well, they just have to do it. They got to get their ESG score up, so they got to do this stuff. And it's like, no, if you don't buy their product, all the investment money in the world is not going to raise their stock price when they have to report that Disney Plus subscribers are down, when they have to report that they lose hundreds of millions of dollars on every single movie that they make, when they report that their park attendance is down. These are all things that have to be public during their investor report, during their earnings call. And all of the BlackRock money, all of the high ESG score in the world still will not fix those things when they report them. And when that stuff comes out, I don't care how much confidence BlackRock has in this company. If I'm an investor and I see them come out and say, yeah, we lost 2 million subscribers when we thought we were going to gain 1 million. Yeah, park attendance is down low. Yeah, we lost $400 million this quarter on these various movies. I'm getting out of there. You know what I mean? And people are going to pull their money out. And that's why we see the stock price dropping lower and lower and lower. And it's not just Disney. You see stuff like Target pulled their Pride section early, and they can try to say that was like, oh, because our employees are being harassed or whatever. No, it's because no one was buying that crap. Not even gay people were buying that crap, because it was again, it's this corporate fake, we're going to do just enough to look like we care. We're going to make some of the ugliest clothing and accessories you've ever. If we just make can koozies with a rainbow on it, then those gays, they'll buy it, and then we're going to look great. And I think even the gay population at this point is kind of tired of Pride Month, because it's so fake. It's ridiculous. And at midnight on June 30th, all of these companies turn their icons back to their normal color. And, it was never actually about supporting them. And they know that. and the rest of the consumer base is tired of feeling like a small portion of the base is being pandered to or whatever. So you see people that are not shopping at Target. We had reports that Target lost tons and tons of money, and so they took those displays down. And like I said, they try to cover and say, oh, people are harassing our employees. But the real truth is that these companies are actually starting to get pushback from the consumers. And I love it. And that's going to be that video, is that you have power, you have purchasing power. And when you decide to just do without, especially the stuff that's luxuries, beer is a luxury. You don't need Bud Light. Even if you do want to drink, there's a million other beers you can drink. You don't need that one. There's a million places to shop. You can shop anywhere you want. You don't have to shop at Target if you don't want to. You don't have to watch Disney stuff. Like their company especially is 100% luxury. They don't make anything you need at all. It's pure entertainment. You can do without it. I mean, so I'm excited about that. I'm excited to see that people are kind of waking up and realizing that they don't just have to take whatever they're given, and if they don't like it, they can take their money elsewhere. And I think more people should be kind of viewing themselves that way. And we're seeing that in what they're now telling their investors, where we had a story come out recently that Disney is telling their investors that they are going to quiet the noise in the culture wars. So people were talking about Zootopia 2 being super duper woke or whatever. I have a feeling that they're probably rewriting that stuff right now because they're tired of losing. I mean, at a certain point, they get tired of losing money. You can only lose hundreds of millions, even if you're a multi-billion-dollar company like Disney is. Its valuation is like $50 billion, and they make $10 or $15 billion a year. That's a lot of money, but you can only lose hundreds of millions of dollars for so long before it starts to affect things. And Bob Iger is now realizing, like, maybe we should just make entertainment products and just leave it at that. And I like that. And again, this is encouraging that the audience was very clear. They voted with their money, they voted with their wallets, and they said, well, so long as you're making stuff that, not even just stuff that I agree with, like on a principle level, so long as you're making bad entertainment because your priority is sneaking in stuff that makes you look good and you can pat yourself on the back and you can virtue signal, but you're making a garbage story in the meantime. Elemental was not a good movie, and it didn't even have woke stuff in it, but they're just so concerned with like the racial allegory of that movie. They were so concerned with this idea that Ember's parents were immigrants and they were being mistreated, and like that was so much of their focus that they made a movie that sucked. It was just it was boring. It was terrible. And it was racist. Her grandma was super racist. It was funny. It was like unintentionally super duper racist. They would like burn stuff up. And like, if you really watch that movie, it was like, oh, so the immigrants are dangerous? What are you guys trying to say here exactly? Something that I didn't put in my review of that one, which is crazy. If you go back and watch that movie, people are eating like these treats, like these coal treats or whatever. And they go in and they order a plate of these treats, and Ember's dad, they have a stack of twigs and he like presses them into a hot coal thing. They're twigs. Those are earth people body parts that they're eating. They're cannibals. They didn't think that movie through at all. There was so many bad things in that one. Let's see here. Doc Locke says patronizing can only get companies and big corpos so far, and I'm hoping that more people are seeing that. I completely agree. I mean, it worked for a while. I'm also happy that we're seeing how fake it was all along anyway. Right. And I think I made a video about this months ago, but I should make another one that I hope that conservatives don't fall for any stuff in the future where, all of a sudden it's about America and guns from these companies. And because that's fake too, it's just all about getting your money. And to me, I don't really care if you share my values as a company. Just, do you make a product that I want to buy? Do you make a useful product that I want? I will buy it from you. I don't really care if you like puppies and kittens and you share my values. I could not give less of a crap about that. Do you make a good product? Then I will buy it. Wow, that is super gross. Okay. Yeah, that's nasty. Let's see here. Yeah, it was. Elemental was super duper generic. I think that's what he was talking about there. It was just, it was very, very bad. Yeah, no, I was talking about they have picked up a lot of activist employees. It's true. I mean, Disney at this point does have a lot of people. Like, I mean, even at the very, very top, they've got, Kathleen Kennedy, who is very open about how she wants to be putting these messages and stuff in the movies. So you're right, they can't purge them all, but it's interesting that their CEO is like, yeah, we're going to tamp it down. And even if that means that, even if it means like we're not gonna change our minds, we're just gonna keep it down, fine. That's all. I don't care. I don't need you to agree with me. I don't need you to change your mind. Just I need you to quit shoving it in your movies and making your entertainment products not entertaining. That's what I want to see. Speaking of them, we were talking about this. I was going over this schedule with my wife, and I think last year I made a video about Netflix, and they were having a rough time last year, and they kind of turned things. They didn't turn things around, but they quieted down a little bit. And I haven't looked it up, but it seems like Netflix is doing quite well. That One Piece was a big boost. Seems like they've had a lot of hit shows recently. I'm going to do some research and see if their subscriber numbers have picked back up, if they're still number one, and if they quit advertising anti-racist stuff. They quit advertising, for the most part, they quit advertising super duper messagey stuff. So I'm going to do some research and see if they've come back a little bit. And now it's time for me to get mad. I'm not going to get mad. I'm not going to get actually mad. Not really. So that last video, I'll admit to you, I was a little out of time, and I didn't have time to I didn't have time to script all about the Wheel of Time. Like, we hammered through those 3 episodes, and the show is so bad. The reason I was out of time on the Wheel of Time review is because we watched the first episode like that Friday night that it came out, and it sucked, and I didn't want to watch anymore. And like, I had to make myself watch another episode on Saturday, and then Sunday came around. That was Labor Day weekend, and I realized, oh crap, I need to like film tomorrow about this freaking show, and I haven't even watched the 3rd episode. So we hammered through that one on Sunday, and I took notes and stuff. And then I thought, hang on just a second. There we go. I just banned somebody for the first time ever. Nice. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna take notes, and I'm gonna sit down in front of the camera, and I'm gonna be like these other. I'm gonna be like Disparu. He's really good at this. He just goes. I don't think he scripts his stuff, and his stuff is entertaining, and he makes these 45-minute long videos, and they do great. And I was like, I'm gonna be just like that. That's what I'm gonna do. And I just thought my passion would carry me all the way through, and it was all right. I think that video was okay. So I'm going to script this one. It's going to be a full season review. And what I'm going to do with this one is we're going to tackle a couple of things. One, I'm going to tackle some of the defenses. This show and I want to title it this, that it's a failed adaptation, because that's what it is. People are like, well, it's good television, so just look past it. I will not look past that, because the only reason we're talking about it is because it's called The Wheel of Time. So I'm going to judge it as an adaptation of The Wheel of Time. And on that account, it fails across the board. It's a failed adaptation in every single way. And people are like, well, just watch it just as regular television. I won't, because if it was just called some generic fantasy show, just The War of the Power or something, and it was on Amazon, you wouldn't have watched it. I wouldn't have watched it. We wouldn't even be talking about it. So they use the name recognition of Robert Jordan's series to get in the door, and then threw everything out as soon as they got our eyeballs. And I know it sounds like hyperbole. It sounds like being dramatic, but I was lied to. That's a betrayal. That's a bait and switch. And so when people are just like, I watch Daniel Green, he's a book YouTuber, and he's a big booktuber, and he's doing reviews of this. And he's like, I just had to turn my book brain off and just watch the show for what it is. I'm like, why would you do that? Why would you need to turn, if you use that about anything else? If you were eating a meal and you're like, well, if I just turn my taste buds off and eat this, it's a really good meal. No, it's not. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So I'll be tackling some of those ridiculous defense. There's no defense of the show. I will not hear any. There's no valid defense.
IP appropriation. That's very
yeah, that's exactly what it is. They got us to pay attention because of the name, and then Rafe Judkins, the showrunner, was like, okay, now I'm going to tell the show that I want to tell. I'm gonna tell the stories that I think are interesting, and he's interested in Alana and her warders having sex constantly. Did you watch episode 4 with me? Did we watch that together? In the beginning, where like Lan is hanging out with them, and her family's like, "Where does he fit?" Oh my God! Stop. We get it. We get it. So I'll be talking about that. But then, more importantly, I want to make that one more of like an analytical thing where I want to look at situations that were in the book that we didn't see in the show, and how it's not just nerd rage like, they didn't do a shot for shot remake of the book that I like. It's not that. They actually they fundamentally changed the story by making the characters different. And like just for one example, Rand is not the same character because he has not had the same situations. Like in the second book, I'm rereading the books right now because if you go back and watch the video, there's some details that I got mixed up or wrong or whatever. I read the books a while ago, and I'm rereading them now, especially the first 4 books, so I can get my details right. But it's so good. I'm gonna read the whole series again because I'm re-falling in love with it. And I'm reading the second book the other day. I'm in the middle of the third one now, and you have a whole situation where Rand is he's with his friends because they're all hunting the horn together. They're not split up like the show has got them. And something very important happens to him where he gets transported accidentally to this other world of like possibilities, things that might have happened. And he accidentally takes 2 other people with him. One character named Huron, who can like smell violence, and then another character, an Ogier named Loyal, who is like 9 feet tall, and the show doesn't do that justice either. And he also meets this mystery woman, Celine. And it's a very important scene. And they're like, we just cut it. It's no big deal. But it is a big deal because that scene was Rand's very first leadership opportunity, because he gets them there. And in the book, it's really interesting because Huron is this guy, and everybody thinks Rand is a lord. He's wearing fancy clothes. Through some accidental happenstance, people think that he's a lord in disguise. And it's a cool scene because this guy Huron is like, well, Rand, you know what to do because you're a lord. So he's like not upset. He's very confident because he's like, I've got Lord Rand with me. He'll see us out of this. No big deal. And so right away, Rand doesn't want to be a leader, but he's faced with someone who is relying on him. And he knows that he has the power to fix a situation. Even if he's not really entirely sure how, he knows he has to be the one to do it. He has to put a brave face on. He has to be a leader, whether he likes it or not. And then they meet Celine, who, of course, is not who she seems to be, but she gives him another vision of leadership, and that is be emperor of the world, be great, seize power. Don't do silly farm boy things like care about people and want to save your friend's life. That's peasant crap. You need to be a great leader. And of course, she's, the most beautiful woman he's ever seen. She smells amazing. Every time he's around her, he can't think straight. And she's implying very heavily, like, you need to take whatever you want to take. You need to take power, take something. And so he's got these contrasting ideas of people that are looking up to him, expecting him to lead them, to serve them. And then he's got this other expectation of seize greatness, be the man, be top G, And he's got these warring things, and he doesn't know what to do. And that's an important scene for him. It's an important bit of growth. And in the show, we don't get any of that. We just see this guy flailing around. He doesn't know what he's doing. Anyway, that's going to be another longer one as well. So, and I'm also going to dig up some comments that Rafe made as well, because he knew he was changing the show. He knew he was changing the characters. He knew he wanted his own vision of things. And then he mocked the fans who weren't happy with it. I think at one point there's a tweet that floats around that people were upset with things, and he was like, keep complaining and I'll make Perrin gay. Ha 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 ha. Like, if you really love the source material, you wouldn't threaten to screw it up just to spite the fans. So that's very, very frustrating. Before I jump into before I nerd out on Baldur's Gate, I'm gonna read the.
They were talking about Peter Jackson and the Lord of the Rings and how good that one was, because he intentionally left out his own body.
It absolutely was. And you know what? The Lord of the Rings trilogy brings up a great point, because pretty famously, Tom Bombadil doesn't appear in that. And that's the kind of thing, like, I'm not expecting a shot-for-shot remake of a 400-page book in an 8-episode season of television. I am aware that that's impossible. So I'm okay with that. If you need to combine some side characters in the show, why can't I think of the brown the brown sister. Starts with a V. Varen. They're at the villa, and it's the brown and the green sister, and they're like collecting a history. In the book, that's not Varen. That's some other woman. I can't think of her name, but she's kind of, that's just an inconsequential side character. And sometimes stuff like that happens. They get combined, little things. I'm told, I haven't read any of the Game of Thrones books, but I'm told that they do the same thing. Little small side characters that kind of accomplish the same thing, they get combined into one character. That kind of stuff is okay. In the Lord of the Rings movies, Tom Bombadil, it's been widely agreed, it's a weird bit of the book anyway, kind of strange. That's okay. Let's just leave that out. It won't affect the story. That's perfectly fine. What bothers me is when you just start making up brand new stuff and you actually change the motivations of the characters. Again, I was reading the books the other day, and there was this really cool foreshadowing about Matt. In the show, Matt is just an asshole. Like, he's a horrible, horrible person. What?
Oh, Matt.
Yeah, I know, right? He's so good. And there is this bit where he meets the Amerlin Seat, and she says, "You remind me of my cousin so-and-so. He was a gambler. He loved to carouse, blah, blah, blah. And he died saving children from a burning building because he refused to stop going in until all the kids were saved. And that's how he died." And that's this great bit of foreshadowing that Matt is, on the surface, he's a player. He's a gambler. He curses a lot. He's kind of a rough dude. He seems to be very selfish, but that's all up front. And when the rubber meets the road, he's there for his friends. And in the show, he's just a straight up asshole. His father is an asshole. That was untrue. So yeah, they're like totally changing character motivations. And Lord of the Rings is an excellent example that I'll try to work in that script too, that they still kept the spirit. Somebody said, yeah, they say you still got to be faithful to the spirit and the themes. And they have completely changed that show. They've completely changed that story just because. Yeah.
Heartbreaking his backstory, what they changed.
Yeah, they made him have a made up wife so he could kill her. That's another point that's in that script that accounts for why he hates the axe, but it doesn't account for like his inner rage issues. And they just basically want to make him be angry sometimes. Oh, I'm afraid of what I'll do to that Fane. I'm gonna go rip his throat out. Like, but why would we believe that about you? We haven't seen anything from your character that suggests that you have an inner beast that's trying to get out. It's yeah. Anyway. Yeah, well, and Peter Jackson has gone on record saying that he's not thrilled with the way The Hobbit turned out, but you know, it wasn't awful, it wasn't unwatchable, but it was stretched way too much.
Are you gonna review the Barbie movie?
So down here I have a video. It's sort of a review of the Barbie movie, but it's about the themes of the Barbie movie. And again, like I said earlier, I want to get back to this, like, let's talk about the themes of what's going on in these movies. Let's talk about let's kind of dissect them. And I've got a lot of videos coming up about that. And even the Wheel of Time thing, like, it's kind of a review of the show, but really it's a comparison of the themes of the book and the characters of the book and how they're not being represented on screen. So yeah, there will be a slight review of the Barbie movie in there as I go, but also about the Manosphere guys, Red Pill guys, that I just absolutely can't stand. So the other reason that, sadly, I didn't get as much YouTube work done as I wanted, because freaking Baldur's Gate 3 came out for PlayStation earlier last month. And as I said earlier, I have this old laptop with a GTX 1060 graphics card. There is no chance that it was going to run Baldur's Gate. It would have just melted right where it's at. And that's another reason why I want to stream simple games, because I can't handle anything more than that.
You have to put your controller in timeout.
No, because it's not even that. It's just that like heavier graphical intensive games, they would just shut this down. The stream would just end and the screen would go black and it would be. But it's nice to know that the fan doesn't pick up on this mic.
Yeah.
So Baldur's Gate 3 comes out, and if you guys haven't heard about this, it's basically a Dungeons and Dragons video game, and it is made by this company called Larian, and they have a lot of experience with games of this type, giving you a lot of freedom, not only in the combat but in the conversations that you have in the game. Like it's not open world, but it's very open choice. And it's such a cool way they do it. The games are actually not very gigantic, especially their big titles, Divinity and Divinity 2. They were not enormous games, but they were extremely complex games, and they allowed you tons and tons of freedom. Something they're very famous for is see you, Chris. Something they're very famous for is see you, Brian. Something they're very famous for is allowing you to you can kill anybody in the game and still works itself out. Like they've thought of contingencies for players doing all kind of crazy stuff. And this new game, Baldur's Gate 3, is no different. There are 1,000 options of what you can do. It looks amazing. If you're familiar with how this company does the combat in their games, you can absolutely just break the combat in the game with creativity. You can do all kind of cool stuff. They just poured so much love into this game. They're not going to sell paid DLC to it. There's no microtransactions in this game. They took their time. They made a complete game that is not full of bugs and breaks constantly. They're not hiding things behind a paywall. They just have nothing but love for their players. And this is something that the video game industry is having a lot of the same problems that Hollywood and movies and TV and stuff that are having, where a lot of video games are just like, we're going to make something that's just good enough to get you hooked and just try to milk your money. And there's not a lot of respect for the players. It doesn't feel like their wants and needs are being taken into account. It doesn't feel like there's a lot of love for the games. It feels like they're just being milked. And Baldur's Gate 3 is such a triumph of putting the customer first, taking the time. This thing went to early access like 3 years ago, and it looked good then, and they still took 3 more years to make sure that it was polished and perfect and incredible. And so I've been playing that a lot, and I don't have time to do a full review. First of all, because it came out like 8 weeks ago on PC, and my PC isn't going to run it. If you have a PC that can run this game, I do recommend that you do it, because this is a better experience with a mouse and keyboard, I imagine. It's not horrible with a controller, but there's just so much that you can do, and there are little things to click on and stuff. It would be easier if you had a mouse and keyboard. But something a lot of people were nervous about was there were like big headline stories about how you could have sex with a bear. It's an open-ended game, so of course, you can have you get straight relationships, gay relationships. You can put yourself in as a non-binary. You can arrange your body to look however you want. You can look, as androgynous as you want. I think the game might have like threesomes in it or something. It's got sex in it. D&D is kind of known for being a little bit more of an adult. It can get a little horny sometimes. Like you hear these stories about people's games that get super horny. And I had heard that there was a lot of sex in this game. And, I've made 5 kids. I like sex. It's a lot of fun. But in my games, it never works. Like I remember in Witcher 3, there was sex, and it was just like, it's a little cringy. It's these 3D models. It doesn't look great. So,
well, and if you have a family playing the game with anyone like awake and roaming around the house.
So my kids and I play D&D, or we used to before I started making YouTube videos, and I lost time for it. So I DM for my kids, and we have an ongoing game that I need to dust off. And I thought this is going to be a great game to play with them. They can make new characters. You can play split screen co-op with this. So you've got a party of 4, and I have had my kids play with me. Like I just keep an eye on what's going on the screen, and they can make their own character. They can join you for combat, all that kind of stuff. And my kids are younger, 15, 13, and 11, and 9 are the ones that actually want to play. So they're like, when we actually play tabletop, it's all combat encounters. There's very little role play. That's what they like. And that's what they like in the game too. And I was a little nervous because I had heard it's a very adult game, a lot of adult stuff going on, a lot of sex, whatever. And one thing I'll give them is there are some gross moments, both like visually disgusting and then also some sex moments. But one thing that I will give them, if you're thinking about picking this one up and you've got kids, is that the game warns you when sex is about to occur. So I ran into 2 situations. One very early in the game where I ran into a shed and I heard noises from the shed. and I go to open the door, and the game stops, and there's a narrator that will pop in every now and then, and the narrator says, sounds like there's people are having fun in this shed, and there's moaning and groaning noises coming from the shed. And then one of your party says, hey, sounds like some people are having a good time in there. I don't think I want to see what's happening inside of that room. And then it gives you your dialogue options, and you can just turn away, or you can press on and go inside. So it warns you, like, hey, you're about to see a sex scene. You're about to see this stuff. And then the other thing is, they have toggles for nudity and genitals. So you can turn off nudity, you can turn off genitals, and then the characters will just have a loincloth and whatever on. I want to check that one out because my kids weren't around, and I had a screen recording of it, which I wish I could show you, but I can't upload it. And it was a troll and an orc, and they were having sex. And like, obviously one was bent over, one was behind, and you're interrupting. So the one is obviously behind and turns angrily and, wearing clothes because I've got the nudity toggled off. So you know what's going on, but it could have been worse, and it gave you fair warning. And then there is there's another issue, another time I ran into it where, there's a group of people that you can save or not save. And if you save them, you're the big hero, and there's a big party, and you go to your camp at night, and everybody in your party is suddenly hitting on you because you're the big hero. And they're flirting with you they're letting you know, hey, as soon as this party's over, come to my tent. We'll get it on. The men and women in your party, all of them, they say this to you. So, you can talk to them, you can flirt, you can reject, whatever you want to do. But then when you go to rest for the evening, you get a pop-up and it says, hey, some of your party members are interested in sleeping with you. Who do you want to spend the night with? And you can choose any of their names, or you can just choose to go to bed by yourself and skip that scene entirely. So yes, there's sex in this game, but you can toggle the nudity off. And the times that I've run into it, it hints very, very clearly about, you're not going to run into it accidentally. So if you're thinking about picking this up, you want to play with your kids, as long as they don't mind blood, because there's plenty of that. It's not that bad. It's not nearly as perverted. I don't know where the bear sex is. I haven't run into that yet. So I don't know. Let's see. So Miller wants to know how Baldur's Gate compares to early BioWare games in character story and character richness. I would say it's even deeper. I mean, especially since if you're talking about early BioWare, like Mass Effect or Knights of the Old Republic or something, you're also talking about technology we were years ago. And so this is a much deeper story, and there's a lot more branching pathways for your party. You're going to have 6 custom characters that you will run into, and they have their own big long backstory that you can chase down, and little side quests you can do for them to gain their favor or whatever. Or you can just hire generic hirelings and spec them any way you want. And your side characters have very, very deep stories. And what's nice is there's 6 of them. So your party of 4, counting you can experience 3 and 3. I'm going to play back next time a more evil run, and I'm going to grab the evil characters and kind of see where they go. But it is much deeper as far as their character richness goes. They have a lot more emotion. You certainly don't have the situation you had at the end of Knights of the Old Republic where the ship just falls into a chasm and all of your work just goes away. That still bothers me. Yeah. It's just silly. Like, obviously I don't encourage you guys to watch the stuff, but there's websites. You don't need to have sex scenes in your games. You can go find it. It's fine. Let's see here. Dark Box wants to review Monument, Mythos, and Nixonverse. I've never even heard of that, but I'll look into it. So I heard recently that just today I saw a headline that the Knights of the Old Republic trailer got deleted, and like they're kind of scrubbing that, so they might be walking that back, which is really sad because that's an excellent game, and it could use a fresh coat of paint. It would be incredible if it got the Demon's Souls treatment and like Blue Point remade it. That is such a fantastic game. Even as old as it was, and they were limited technology wise, the character development, the choices you got, the whole exploration of the dark and light side thing, just such a great game. I hope they do a remake on that, but it's been in development hell for a very, very long time. So, David, yeah, kids are games still considered for kids by most of the media. It's insane. It's insane that people still think that, especially when these games are. I mean, it's not even like adult content, like gross stuff. It's some of these side characters have very emotional stories in Baldur's Gate. It's really incredible stuff. Let's see here. Emma's heard of Monument Mythos. I'll look into it. So this weekend, back to Disney, Star Wars Galactic Starship had its last cruise. That is the one where you, a group of 4, can pay $6,000 for a 2-night stay and be immersed in a Star Wars thing. Unfortunately, it's immersed in new Star Wars trilogy, sequel trilogy stuff. It's if you guys have never actually looked into this, admittedly, it sounds interesting. Like, it's expensive. It's obviously for certain kind of consumer that can afford to throw money away on this kind of stuff. But it's not just a hotel stay. Apparently, it was like an interactive experience. Like, they had characters in full costume and makeup, Twi'lek with the tentacles and stuff. Everybody in face paint, and there was almost like a mystery dinner type situation, but playing out over the 2 days. Apparently, the First Order is like looking for traitors amongst the people, that the hotel guests and stuff. And there are shows, there's characters to interact with, there's meals, there's drinks, there's like it's a whole interactive experience for 2 straight days. So yes, it's $6,000. Yeah, they might be unenthusiastic cosplayers, but if you're super into the sequel trilogy, then, and you really want to get immersed into it, and you only have 2 children, then, and you've got an extra $6,000 plus travel, then, maybe you'd be into it. But I think that the fact that closed, it goes deeper than just, oh, look, they spent $1 billion and it's $6,000. It's too expensive, too much money, yada, yada. I think everybody's missing the point that the main focus of that Starship Cruiser was the sequel trilogy, which nobody gives a shit about. Nobody cares to see Rey and Kylo Ren and, the First Order people. What did Domhnall Gleeson? What was his name in that? I love that guy. Ever since About Time, I love that guy. About Time is a great movie. If you like, even if you don't like rom-coms, it's a good movie. But it speaks to a deeper problem with Disney, that people are like, okay, they can shrug off a loss. Yeah, they lost a bunch of money on movies this year. Okay, no big deal. Like, oh, you internet trolls, you haters, whatever. You guys are just mad. The issue with making crappy products is that you then have to keep selling them. Like, if that Galactic Starship Cruiser was about the original Star Wars trilogy, I think it would have been much more exciting. Older folks who have the money to spend on this stuff would have loved reliving that original trilogy, seeing the original stuff. But since it was based on the sequel trilogy that nobody even likes, who's excited to go see that crap? Nobody. And the same thing is going to happen to all of their properties, like these new properties. They can't make a ride or an attraction based on Elemental. It was boring. Who's going to want to go see that? They can't make an attraction based on Turning Red. They can't make an attraction based on Lightyear. They can't make an attraction based on new Little Mermaid. It wasn't exciting. Little kids aren't getting excited about live action Little Mermaid. Even my own daughter she didn't care. I mean, she was 3 at the time, but she didn't give a crap about that. And so going forward, I think they're going to start seeing park attendance problems, because you can only make money on the old Renaissance stuff for so long. And when they make these crappy new products, it's not just a matter of, oh, the movies didn't make money, oh, whatever. You can see this Galactic Starship is symptom number 1, exhibit A, of these new properties are not exciting people. We've been to Harry Potter World twice. I would go a 3rd time and a 4th time. It's amazing. But nobody, I honestly, if they had, well, I don't have the money for it, but in a fantasy world where I had the money and they had like a Harry Potter 2-day. There's cosplayers. You're an interactive. I would freaking do that in a heartbeat. Okay, I'd be all over that because I'm excited about that property, and so many people would do that. 20 years later, those books have been released, and people would still be into that stuff. And so I think a lot of people are missing the point on that. That oh, I was supposed to have news up. A lot of people I think are missing the point. They're just like, haha, it closed, they lost money. But it's a deeper issue that they have products that they can't bank on anymore. They can't build rides on this stuff. Nobody cares. New characters to replace legacy characters. Do not a franchise. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you can't build on this stuff.
I also think that the price is that's not a negligible point. That's not nothing.
No.
You know, $6,000 in the economy that we're in, with everything being so much more expensive than it ever was before, to expect that any family could afford that, or any person that's a reasonable amount of money for that experience, is ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's tone deaf, you know.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Ahsoka, so like I said, I haven't finished Ahsoka, but according to the numbers, like it didn't crash and burn, but we're getting the first 6-day numbers are showing that they had 1.2 million households watched Ahsoka over its first 6 days. And it's not awful. Like, they show some comparisons that Boba Fett had 1.9 million, Obi-Wan had 2.14 million, Mandalorian in its season 2 premiere had 2.8 in 4 days of its season 2 premiere, and season 3 only got 1.6 million. So, season 3 was crap, and we all know that. But obviously, these other characters, Boba Fett, Obi-Wan, those are much bigger, much more well-known characters. Even the Mandalorian, I think, was a cooler looking. Like, everybody's excited about that. I know that Ahsoka had a little bit of a disadvantage going in, because you had to have watched Rebels or Clone Wars to be excited about those characters. So they had a little bit of a handicap there, but 1.2 million is not awful. And this article goes to compare the MCU stuff, and you can see here that in the first 5 days, Samba reports this stuff. You have Loki, of course, doing great with 2.5 million because, Hiddleston draws a crowd. Moon Knight did really good. And so you can see 1.2, as far as compared to like the MCU shows, 1.2 is a little on the lower side for what they usually do. It's obviously lower for the Star Wars properties, and it beat out like what Secret Invasion and Ms. Marvel did. So it's not great. Ahsoka did not get great views. Not horrible, very, very middling. And again, Disney needs more than just okay. They need more than just, watch it if you get a chance. Like, they need reviews that are much better than that. And the problem is they have upcoming The Acolyte, and this one's going to trash their reputation for good. Hey, Destroying Programmers here, welcome. I think Moon Knight, it was a weird. That one was like I don't remember the marketing being huge for that. And I remember the first time I watched Moon Knight, I was disappointed. I was upset with that show because I felt like the marketing was backward for that one. I felt like they promised me an action thriller, and what we got was more of a cerebral type thriller, a mystery. Who are the characters? Who's inside this guy's head? And it was a little more of a slow burn, and it's not what I was expecting. So I spent the first 3 episodes like, okay, where's Moon Knight? Where's the ass kicking? Where's the superhero action? And then we watched it again, and I liked it better on the second go around. I never did enjoy it, but I liked it better when I wasn't expecting, because I felt like the ads sold me on an action show, and that's what I wanted. But I remember them marketing that a little bit. Yeah, I mean, 1.8 is not bad, but it's just, it's unknown. It's super unknown. I'm not surprised at all. Loki did amazing. Moon Knight was this brand new thing that they were kind of testing out. So you got this show, The Acolyte, coming up. It's still in pre-production. I don't even know if they've filmed it yet. But this article, this is what I would call a positive article, because they're saying that they're going to explore in the it's going to take place in the High Republic era, and they're going to explore some gray area with the Jedi. They're going to be exploring, are the Jedi really the good guys that they're made out to be? Are they the pure, always fighting for truth and justice group that we've grown up knowing them as? And they're going to try to paint that. Now, when I hear that, if anybody but modern Disney was making the show, I would think, oh, okay, that could be cool. Maybe we'll explore this again. We're doing this subversion thing where we're doing this. Maybe morals aren't real thing, but whatever. It still could be interesting. Of maybe they're not the good guys. Maybe they think they're doing a good job, but they're not really. But with modern Disney, I think what we're going to do is we're just going to tear the Jedi down and make them the bad guys and think it's clever. And I don't trust that there's going to be any nuance to this show that's going to make it interesting. I think it's just going to be, hey, Jedi are actually bad. Ha, isn't that cool? And they think it's going to be novel, and it's freaking not. And the other problem with The Acolyte is that the showrunner is adamant that it will reflect her lesbian identity. Leslie Headland is running this one, and she has said that she wants she says stories always relate to their own personal things. She tells the story about how the original Star Wars makes perfect sense, written by someone who didn't want to take over their dad's hardware store in Modesto. And so she's like, it's perfectly normal that your personal biases will come into a show. This show hasn't been written. We don't know what the show is about. We don't know anything about this. And we're already seeing the showrunner say, yeah, my queer identity, I'm a lesbian, and that's going to come across in the show. So that tells me everything I need to know about it, that they're going to push that. It's just going to be god awful. I don't have footage of Sea of Stars, unfortunately. I will tell you guys, if you like retro games or you want to try a turn-based JRPG, this game is beautiful. It's relaxing. It's wonderful. It's on PlayStation Plus. It's on Xbox Game Pass. If you have either of those services, you can get it for free. It's outstanding. Right. Yeah. Subversion is super duper new. It's just, oh my God. That show is going to be absolute. When that's the first thing they come out with is it's going to reflect my queer identity and we're going to subvert what you've always known. It's going to be hot garbage. And we know that right from the jump. We know that. So these last 3 videos I want to tell you guys about, I want to pique your interest a little. My best performing video ever was about DreamWorks and their villains and how they do such great villains. And I think that video is at like 1.4 million views now. Like that one is far and away my best performer. It's amazing. So the smart move would have been to follow that up within like 6 weeks and make another DreamWorks video. And that is exactly what I did not do because despite claiming to be, I am not a professional YouTuber. So I am working on a script for that one. And that is another one that Ryan made a great thumbnail for. He's got a picture of Tai Lung on the cover, and he's got some text in the background about things that Tai Lung is like thinking about, like expectations on him. Really great looking thumbnail. I'm excited about that one. But that one is going to explore this idea, like the weight of expectation in a lot of different ways. Like it's not just going to be the bad weight of expectation. Like I'll be talking about Prince of Egypt and how the Pharaoh had the weight of expectation and he wouldn't let Moses go because his father told him that he would be the weak link in the chain and all of that. But I also, and then Ryan actually brought up when I was telling him about the videos, he's like, oh, you should work in Shrek 2 and Shrek's imposter syndrome that he was dealing with in Shrek 2. And that's a great idea. I'm going to work that in the script. But I also want to work in sometimes the good weight of expectation or how it can be good. Like in the Prince of Egypt, we see Moses going out in the desert and he has the greatest of expectations put on him to save the people of Israel. But it's not a selfish expectation. It's not asking of him things he can't do. This is a positive expectation put on him by God. So, and God is saying, I'm going to help you do it. So expectation sometimes can cause us to rise to an occasion to seize the responsibility that we need to have. And then also I want to explore the idea that sometimes we can't live down the expectations. The bad guys and Sinbad illustrate this. Their whole plots are basically based around the idea that everybody expects the bad guys and Sinbad to keep doing bad things because they're just bad to their core. And the whole plot is about someone using that expectation against them, even when they're trying to do something right. The weight of other people's expectations of them continues to drag them down. It doesn't work against them and hurt their self-confidence like it does for Shrek or Tai Lung, but they can't escape it. They can't live that down. I'm super get to subvert them. I'm super excited about that one. I think that one's gonna be really good. I've already told you guys about, in the last live stream, we talked about this Ironheart versus Hulk scene comparison. I'm excited about that. And watching Ahsoka, I think I might make a second video about the blind lightsaber training scene that happened at the beginning of episode 3, I think. It was obviously a direct homage to that original scene with Luke having the blaster helmet on and the little floating doohickey, and he's deflecting it with the Force. But it, other than jingling the keys and throwing the member berries out there, it didn't live up to that scene in any way whatsoever. And I think it would be fun to contrast those two things and see how just saying, remember the thing, it failed. The original Star Wars, that scene told us stuff about Luke. It told us stuff about Obi-Wan. It told us stuff about the Force. It was an informational scene. It was great. And then this new show, we pretty much just have Ahsoka looking like she's being a dick because she knows full well that Sabine doesn't know how to use the Force. And she's just pretty much just poking at her as she's griefing. It's terrible. So I think I might compare those two. And then this last one, I'm very excited about. Very excited because if you guys have watched my older videos, I can't stand the Manosphere. I hate the Red Pill movement. I'm so glad Fresh and Fit got demonetized. Andrew Tate drives me crazy. I just think that these guys are selling men the absolute most selfish, horrible worldview that is going to continue to haunt them forever. And I went and I watched the Barbie movie, and I got to tell you, I didn't hate that movie. I didn't love it either, but there were parts of I can see the potential that the Barbie movie had if Greta Gerwig wasn't so intense on getting her stupid message into that's what screwed that movie up. The first, I would say, 20 minutes of that movie was great. It was hilarious. The opening, comparing little girls and Space Odyssey, like you're doing a direct shot for shot knockoff of like one of the greatest scenes in filmmaking. It was obviously self-deprecating. It was clearly like a joke, like, haha, we're taking ourselves way too seriously by remaking this a Space Odyssey scene. And then everything that happens in Barbie World is obviously meant to be a goofy parody. Everything's upside down, nothing's real. So in the first like 20 minutes of the movie, it was pretty funny. And if they had stayed consistent and made the Barbie world the upside down parody world and then the real world opposite, they would have been fine. But they couldn't remember which side they wanted to be on. And then of course they started talking about America Ferrera has this speech at the end about the patriarchy and the cognitive dissonance of being a woman, and it got preachy, and it was Will Ferrell was being Will Ferrell. He didn't belong in that movie at all. And they wanted the Mattel, is it Mattel? Mm-hmm. They wanted the Mattel board to look like the villains, but also not too villainous because Mattel was sponsoring the movie and it was actually one big ad for their stuff. And like, they just didn't know what message they wanted to send. And if they had stuck to the way it began and that parody kind of not taking itself too seriously, if they had stuck to the way they advertised the movie as just a silly, goofy, whatever, it would have been fine. But they didn't. And they went in 6 different directions. And what really bothered me the most while I was watching that movie was it pushed that exact same message of selfishness. Like, people are upset at the end. They feel like Ken is being put down because Barbie doesn't want to be with him. And, she doesn't owe him a relationship. I think that's a fine message to say that, like, that's not the ultimate goal. But I think the opposite is where they went was to be happy, you got to find yourself by yourself. You have to get stuff. Stuff will make you happy. Overcoming the cognitive dissonance of the world and accepting you for who you are. Like, it was all about me, and we had a sort of a kind of thing where Barbie sort of realizes she's mistreated Ken. It was like a 2-minute conversation, but they didn't really sell that she realized that like the way she interacts with people is important. It was still all about her feelings, her wanting to be human. It was so very selfish. The whole movie was about selfishness. And people poke at like the feminism aspects of it, and yeah, that weighed it down because they couldn't get the messaging straight. But even that message was a selfish message. The way that they wanted power back, like when the men enacted the patriarchy in Barbie Land and all that kookiness, then the women were like, no, this can't be right. We are the ones that need to have the power. And it wasn't even like we women need to have the power back from the men. It was just at its core a very selfish message. And so I'm excited about that movie or that video, because I want to partly, I'll be reviewing the Barbie movie slightly, but I want to dig into those themes, and especially how this new brand of like militant, angry feminism is the opposite side of the coin of this angry men go their own way, red pill thing, where you have both of these groups pointing the finger at each other and saying the other one's at fault, and their solution for all of life's problems are selfish. Invest in you. Think about you all the time. If you're a man, get women to be attracted to you with your muscles and buy freaking expensive watches and cars and crap. Be top G, whatever. And on the women's side, it's you're only valuable if you don't need a man, if you make all the money, if you're a career woman and which I think is hilarious because you're making other people money, which I don't know how that's empowering. But both of these people are selling this very materialistic, very self-centered, selfish message. And that's what that video is going to be about. And I'm thrilled. And that is another one where freaking Ryan, professional thumbnail designer, I told him what the video is about. He sent me a thumbnail of a frame of the video, a frame of the movie rather, where Barbie is looking into a mirror, except she's behind the mirror and the mirror has Andrew Tate, and he's got like Tate locked up with Herschel. So it's Tate in the mirror, but it's obviously still from Barbie. It's a great looking thumbnail. I mean, it doesn't even have text on it. It just conveys the message. It's beautiful. I'm so excited to make that one too. So that's what I'm working on right now. And like I said, I already paid for those thumbnails, so now I have to write those scripts. So that's kind of good because no, not you. Not only do I keep a video ideas, oh my God, so many video ideas. And then also I still have a bunch of videos in progress. And you know what? We're toward the end of the movie or toward the end of the video. So I don't think a ton of people are.
There's 30 on right now.
Yeah. So there is something that I'm very interested to. I don't have a thumbnail for it, and this one's going to be a long way off. I need to do research for it. So, I said I was gonna. We have a project. We're gonna start a second channel. I think we're working on it because some of you guys have asked about our 6 kids, being foster parents and adoption and homeschool and like all these other things that we do. And I've said in the past, like I can't really talk about that too much on this channel. Not because I don't want to. I would love to talk about them, but YouTube is weird. Like their algorithm can't handle that. Like it doesn't know how to show people movies and TV commentary and also homeschool and big family life stuff. So we're gonna do kind of a podcast style, her and I talking at a table, and we'll be talking about those things: how to run a big family, how do we homeschool, foster care stuff. Anyway, so we're working on that on the side. It'd be a while, but I'm excited about that. But that ties into this. So some of you know we were foster parents, but are not any longer because our foster child is now our child. We completed an adoption last week or last month rather. It was very, very exciting. Took almost 4 years, but that's all right. But she's Black, and so now we kind of have incentive we have to be mindful of some of that stuff, like the dolls that we buy her. We have to buy her Black dolls with the afro. We have to get books about taking care of her hair and how beautiful her curly natural hair is and that kind of stuff, which that is just a con is what that is. Because if you didn't convince little Black girls that their hair is beautiful, they'd cut it all off, because the amount of work and pain that goes into doing their hair, they would just shave it. I think she would find a pair of scissors. So you have to tell them that it's, you have to convince them how gorgeous it is. But so I've got a little bit of incentive now to be interested in this. And I've made videos about this in the past, but where I've been talking shit on the way that, like, especially Disney does their representation, where they just palette swap a character and like, oh, look, we did something great. Look, Black Ariel, so amazing. Please give us money. I want to do a video about stories that don't see a ton of light, that like original stories, real life original stories. Like I've talked in the past, Africa obviously has tons of them. I think in that video I was talking about the Mami Wata, which is their Africans version of mermaids, or it's like a water spirit, sometimes takes the form of a mermaid. There are so many cool stories in history that are centered on Black people and Black culture. And it doesn't have to be like the struggle or Black people overcoming white struggle or white oppression or what I want to see are just original. Like I want to see more Tyler Perry shit is what I want to see. Like it's not like so many Black stories are really they're focused on white people. Like and how white people are the antagonists, or like they're the focus of the production. So you've got like these African tales. You've got what I say his name was? Anansi is a very famous African figure. Lots of stories around him. You've got the Mami Wata, which is their version of the mermaid or siren. You've got tons of Oh yeah, I do watch Patient Xena, so I'm gonna watch that. That's good. I'll steal some ideas from her or borrow some ideas from her. I'll do some research by watching that. I know like during World War II, there was this story about like these guys called the Harlem Hellfighters. It was an all Black troop, and they did really amazing heroic things. You've got tons of stories like that. And if you're watching this later, or you guys have them now, or I'm going to go watch Patience, but that is something that I'm going to work on. I don't have a thumbnail. I'm not going to work on it yet because I'm going to work on the thumbnails that I bought. I swear I'm not going to get distracted. But this, like, I know last stream we talked about like, I want to work on a video about really great, strong female characters, not in the current sense that we know them, but like really good ones, like the Ellen Ripleys, the Sarah Connors, and people had great ideas in that chat. And I want to make a video like not just bashing the shitty examples, but let's promote the really good examples. And I want to do the same thing here. I want to start digging through history and just find interesting stories about either Black culture or Black stories or whatever, like the invention of jazz in America, or, whatever, like, was Duke Ellington's life interesting? I don't know. I want to hear that story. So yeah, that's something else I'm going to work on, but that won't be for a couple more months. But I know I'm going to get distracted. I'm always distracted.
You can't complete it. Everything is only to 85%. You'll notice that in his videos too.
Hey, shh.
If you stick through the video to the very end, he can't commit to the editing all the way to the end. He just can't.
The last minute never gets edited. I edit my videos front to back, and yeah, I get that last minute of the video. I just ship it, export. I'm done.
Like, I'm done.
It's done. It's fine. Oh man. So I know she does that. It's okay. So
it's the truth.
That's stuff that I'm working on. That's news that happened while I was on vacation. Those are games that I'm playing. I agree. Like the real African folklore, that's something that's really bugging me. And that I think the reason African folklore would be such cool stories is because it's not centered around racism. Like just tell the freaking stories. Like even the Woman King, when they did that, like first of all, that was made up history. So why, with all the cool stories in African history, why would you make one up? Like that just undercuts your message. It's so stupid. And then when they were selling the movie, it was, you got to see this movie or you're a racist, or we got to stick it to the man because this is a strong, powerful female Black character, and you got to see this for that reason. Like the conversation was never just, this is a kick-ass story, go see this kick-ass story. Oh, by the way, yeah, it's a Black queen, king, whatever. Like they just can't get their heads out of their own asses with that stuff and just tell a cool story for its own sake. So I'll be working on that stuff. There was I know that during the Civil War, there was a congressman, I think, who was a former slave, like taught himself to write, led an army troop, became a congressman. He's one of the first Black congressmen. That's a cool life story. Like that one, I think still centers too much on like former slave, coming out of oppression kind of thing. Like I just feel like that, to me, that just it almost, like, I know it seems courageous, but it almost takes away from the story, because the story isn't look how great this person is, it's look how great this person is despite the oppression or whatever. It's like it's the you fight really good for a girl compliment. Like, it's just not, no, it's not a good way to go about it. So I'll be looking for those. But if you guys have video ideas like these that you're looking for, like, obviously I'm still gonna keep watching TV shows and reviewing TV shows from time to time. I'm gonna try to mix those in more instead of just exclusively doing them. Um, Especially like older ones. Like, I'm still working on that Arcane video. But if you guys have video ideas like this, especially more analytical stuff, anything that involves philosophy, I'm always down for. But things where we're really talking about the themes of stuff, themes compared to other themes, like, this is the kind of stuff that I really enjoy talking about with you guys. I love the comments on those videos. I enjoy making those videos. So if you guys have those ideas, always leave them in the comments. You can leave them in this one. If you're watching this later, you can leave them in this one. But yeah, that's what to expect. And that's the news. And I appreciate you guys sticking around. I've had a really great time talking to you. And we will do this again soon. I hope you guys have a great night. And I'll see you later. See you next time. Thanks for watching.